Why are the Jewish people, though they represent less than 1% of the world's population, among the wealthiest and most educated communities on Earth? This question has puzzled historians, economists, and philosophers for centuries. Yet the answer lies not in secrets hidden from the world, but in a mindset so profound, so deeply rooted in ancient wisdom, that it has weathered every storm of history and emerged stronger with each generation. Tonight, we embark on a journey that will reveal the millionaire mindset that has been passed down through thousands of years. A mindset that transformed a wandering people into builders of empires, creators of industries, and keepers of wisdom. We will discover how King Solomon's unmatched biblical wisdom connects seamlessly with Napoleon Hill's modern success philosophy, creating a bridge between ancient truth and contemporary application. This is not about religion or politics. This is about mindset. This is about understanding how thoughts become things, how wisdom becomes wealth, and how a small nation has produced more Nobel Prize winners, more successful entrepreneurs, and more influential thinkers than populations 10 times their size. If you're ready to unlock timeless truths that could change your life, hit that subscribe button now and join us on this journey of wisdom, wealth, and purpose. Because what you're about to discover has the power to transform not just your bank account, but your entire approach to life, legacy, and prosperity. The story begins not with money, but with a radical way of thinking that has remained virtually unchanged for over 3,000 years. At its heart lies a simple yet revolutionary principle. True wealth is not inherited through bloodlines, but cultivated through mindset. It's not about what you have, but about how you think about what you have, what you could have, and what you choose to do with both. Imagine walking through the ancient streets of Jerusalem, where young children sit not with toys, but with books, where the dinner table becomes a classroom, and every meal is seasoned with questions that stretch the mind and challenge assumptions, where parents don't simply tell their children what to think, but teach them how to think. This is where the millionaire mindset begins, not in counting coins, but in counting possibilities. The Jewish approach to money is fundamentally different from most cultures. While others might view wealth as a destination, Jewish thinking sees it as a responsibility. While others might pursue riches for personal comfort, Jewish wisdom pursues prosperity for a higher purpose. This concept, known as tikkun olam, literally meaning repairing the world, transforms the entire relationship between the individual and their resources. But how does this philosophical foundation translate into practical success? The answer lies in the cultivation of what we might call generational thinking. Where others plan for the next paycheck, Jewish families plan for the next century. Where others focus on immediate gratification, Jewish wisdom emphasizes delayed rewards that compound over time. This isn't about being frugal or miserly. It's about understanding that true wealth is built through patience, wisdom, and strategic thinking. Consider how Jewish children are raised. From their earliest years, they are encouraged to question everything. "Why is this night different from all other nights?" they ask during Passover. But this questioning doesn't end with religious observance. It permeates every aspect of life. Why do we work? What is the purpose of wealth? How can our success serve something greater than ourselves? These questions create minds that don't just accept the status quo, but actively seek to understand, improve, and innovate. The emphasis on education in Jewish culture is legendary, but it's not education for education's sake. It's education with intention. Every book read, every skill learned, every degree earned is viewed through the lens of how it can be used to create value, not just for oneself, but for one's family, community, and the world at large. This creates what we might call purposeful learning. the kind of education that naturally leads to innovation, entrepreneurship, and wealth creation. But perhaps, most importantly, Jewish thinking embraces a concept that sets it apart from many other approaches to success. The understanding that wealth without wisdom is not just meaningless, it's dangerous. This principle finds its perfect embodiment in the story of King Solomon, whose life offers us the first and perhaps greatest example of the millionaire mindset in action. 3,000 years ago, in the golden age of ancient Israel, a young man ascended to the throne of his father's kingdom. His name was Solomon, and he was about to make a choice that would echo through history and establish the template for the millionaire mindset that we're exploring tonight. Picture the scene. Solomon, newly crowned king, stands before the altar of the Lord. He could ask for anything: military might to crush his enemies, long life to enjoy his reign, or vast treasures to secure his comfort. Instead, he makes a request that surprises even heaven itself. Give me wisdom to govern your people well. This single prayer reveals the first and most crucial element of the millionaire mindset. Wisdom comes before wealth. The response from heaven was immediate and profound. Because Solomon sought wisdom first, he would receive not only the wisdom he requested, but wealth, honor, and prosperity beyond measure. But more than that, he would receive the kind of wealth that multiplies rather than diminishes, the kind that creates value for generations rather than consumption for a moment. Solomon's reign became the golden age of Israel, a time when peace and prosperity flowed like rivers throughout the land. But his success wasn't accidental. It was the direct result of applying profound wisdom to every aspect of leadership, commerce, and life. He understood that true prosperity comes not from taking, but from creating, not from hoarding, but from circulating, not from competing, but from collaborating. His approach to leadership was revolutionary. Where other kings ruled through fear and force, Solomon ruled through wisdom and justice. He understood that a prosperous kingdom required prosperous citizens, and that his own wealth was inextricably linked to the well-being of his people. This principle, that individual success is tied to collective prosperity, remains a cornerstone of Jewish business philosophy to this day. The biblical account tells us that Solomon's wisdom was so renowned that leaders from around the world came to seek his counsel. But what made his wisdom so valuable? It wasn't just intelligence or knowledge, it was the ability to see connections that others missed, to understand the long-term consequences of short-term decisions, and to create solutions that benefited all parties involved. Solomon's business acumen was legendary. He established trade routes that connected distant lands, creating networks of commerce that generated wealth not just for Israel, but for all participating nations. He understood that true wealth comes from creating value, not from zero-sum competition. His approach to international trade was so successful that the Bible records that silver became as common as stones in Jerusalem during his reign. But Solomon's true genius lay in his understanding of human nature. He knew that lasting prosperity required more than just smart business deals. It required trust, integrity, and mutual benefit. His judgments were so wise and fair that they became the foundation for legal systems that persist to this day. He understood that reputation is the ultimate currency, and that a good name is more valuable than great riches. The books of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, traditionally attributed to Solomon, contain some of the most profound insights into wealth, work, and wisdom ever recorded. These aren't just ancient texts, they're timeless principles that remain as relevant today as they were 3,000 years ago. They form the foundation of what we're calling the millionaire mindset, and they offer us a roadmap for creating prosperity that transcends mere accumulation of money, From Solomon's writings and example, we can extract 7 prosperity principles that form the core of the millionaire mindset. These principles have been tested by time, proven by results, and validated by countless success stories throughout history. They represent not just a path to wealth, but a path to meaningful, sustainable prosperity that creates value for generations. The first principle is perhaps the most counterintuitive: seek wisdom first. In a world obsessed with shortcuts and instant gratification, this principle challenges us to invest in understanding before we invest in anything else. Solomon didn't become wealthy by accident. He became wealthy because he understood the principles that govern prosperity. He studied human nature, market dynamics, and the laws of cause and effect. He understood that knowledge is power, but wisdom is the ability to use that power effectively. Consider how this principle applies in our modern world. The most successful entrepreneurs aren't necessarily the smartest or most educated. They're the ones who understand their markets, their customers, and their industries better than anyone else. They invest time in learning, studying, and understanding before they invest money in ventures. They seek mentors, read voraciously, and constantly expand their understanding of the world around them. The second principle is the power of diligence over laziness. Solomon wrote, "The hand of the diligent will rule, while the lazy will be put to forced labor." This isn't about working harder. It's about working with intention and consistency. The millionaire mindset understands that success is not a destination, but a daily discipline. It's about showing up consistently, even when motivation is lacking. It's about understanding that compound interest applies not just to money, but to effort, skill, and reputation. In practical terms, this means developing systems and habits that create momentum. It means treating your work as a craft to be mastered, not just a job to be endured. It means understanding that every action, no matter how small, is either building toward your goals or detracting from them. There is no neutral ground in the economy of effort. The third principle is perhaps the most paradoxical. Generosity multiplies blessings. Solomon understood that wealth is like a river. It must flow to remain pure and life-giving. When wealth becomes stagnant, it becomes toxic. When it flows freely, it creates abundance everywhere it touches. This principle challenges the scarcity mindset that sees giving as losing and receiving as winning. Instead, it embraces the abundance mindset that sees giving as planting seeds for future harvests. This doesn't mean being careless with money or giving without wisdom. It means understanding that strategic generosity creates relationships, opportunities, and goodwill that often return value many times over. It means treating others' success as integral to your own success. It means building networks based on mutual benefit rather than selfish gain. The fourth principle is the fear of God as a foundation. In modern terms, this means operating from a place of humility and accountability. It means understanding that there are principles and laws that govern success, and that these principles are not subject to our opinions or preferences. It means respecting the process, honoring commitments, and operating with integrity, even when no one is watching. This principle creates what we might call sustainable success. The kind of prosperity that doesn't collapse when circumstances change or when oversight is removed. It's the difference between building on sand and building on bedrock. It's the understanding that character is the ultimate foundation for lasting success. The fifth principle is the wisdom of listening to wise counsel. Solomon wrote, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed." The millionaire mindset understands that success is rarely a solo journey. It actively seeks out mentors, advisors, and counselors who can provide perspective, wisdom, and accountability. It values input from others and understands that two heads are truly better than one. This principle challenges the ego-driven approach to success that assumes we must figure everything out ourselves. Instead, it embraces the collaborative approach that leverages the wisdom and experience of others. It understands that the cost of good counsel is almost always less than the cost of poor decisions. The sixth principle is planning for multiplication. Solomon didn't just think about the present, he thought about the future. He planned not just for his own success, but for the success of his kingdom for generations to come. This long-term thinking is essential to the millionaire mindset. It means thinking beyond the immediate transaction to the long-term relationship. It means building systems that can scale and grow. It means creating value that compounds over time. The seventh and final principle is purposeful stewardship. Solomon understood that wealth is not a possession to be hoarded, but a responsibility to be managed. This principle transforms the relationship between the individual and their resources. Instead of seeing wealth as something to be consumed, it sees wealth as something to be stewarded. Instead of asking, "What can I get?" it asks, "What can I give?" Instead of focusing on accumulation, it focuses on circulation. These 7 principles form the foundation of what we are calling the millionaire mindset. But principles without application are merely philosophy. The real power comes when these ancient truths are lived out in modern contexts, when they become the operating system for contemporary success. Walk into any Jewish household, and you'll immediately notice something different. The rhythm of life itself reflects the principles we've been exploring. Friday evening arrives and something remarkable happens. In a world that never stops, that never slows down, that never catches its breath, the Jewish family stops. They light candles, say prayers, and create space for what matters most: family, reflection, and rest. This practice, known as Shabbat, might seem counterproductive to those obsessed with constant productivity. But the millionaire mindset understands something profound. Rest is not the absence of work. It's the foundation of work. It's not a waste of time. It's an investment in time. It's not a break from success. It's a requirement for success. The Shabbat creates what we might call purposeful pause, a weekly rhythm that allows for reflection, planning, and renewal. It's a reminder that we are not machines designed only for production, but human beings designed for relationship, meaning, and purpose. This balance between work and rest, between striving and receiving, between effort and grace, creates a sustainable approach to success that prevents burnout and maintains perspective. But the Jewish approach to wealth goes beyond personal practices. It's deeply embedded in the concept of tzedakah, often translated as charity, but more accurately understood as righteousness or justice. This is not optional giving based on feelings or circumstances. It's systematic, intentional, and purposeful. It's built into the very fabric of Jewish financial thinking. From childhood, Jewish children learn that a portion of whatever they receive must be set aside for others. Not after they become successful, not when they have extra, but immediately and consistently. This creates what we might call generosity as a lifestyle, rather than generosity as an event. It builds the neural pathways of abundance thinking from the earliest age. The practice of tzedakah does something remarkable to the human psyche. It creates a sense of agency and abundance. When you give regularly, you begin to see yourself not as a victim of circumstances, but as an agent of change. You begin to operate from a place of having rather than lacking. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. But Jewish wisdom takes this even further. The highest form of tzedakah is not just giving money, but creating opportunities for others to succeed. It's not just charity, it's empowerment. It's not just helping people survive, it's helping them thrive. This principle creates businesses, organizations, and communities that generate wealth not just for their owners, but for everyone they touch. Consider how this plays out in Jewish business practices. There's a reason why Jewish-owned businesses are often known for treating employees well, for creating pathways for advancement, and for fostering innovation. It's not just good business, it's good values. It's the understanding that sustainable success requires creating value for all stakeholders, not just shareholders. The concept of legacy planning is another distinctive feature of Jewish financial thinking. While others might focus on spending their wealth during their lifetime, Jewish families focus on building wealth that will serve their children and grandchildren. This creates what we might call intergenerational thinking, the ability to make decisions based not just on immediate impact, but on long-term consequences. This long-term perspective changes everything. It changes how you view education, not as an expense, but as an investment. It changes how you view assets, not as things to be consumed, but as things to be preserved and grown. It changes how you view relationships, not as transactions, but as foundations for future collaboration. The Jewish approach to education is legendary, but it's not just about academic achievement. It's about developing what we might call learning as a lifestyle. Jewish children are taught to question, to explore, to seek understanding. They're taught that ignorance is not bliss, it's bondage. They're taught that knowledge is not just power, it's responsibility. This educational emphasis creates minds that are naturally entrepreneurial. When you're taught to question everything, you naturally see problems as opportunities. When you're taught to seek understanding, you naturally see solutions where others see obstacles. When you're taught that learning is a lifelong journey, you naturally adapt to changing circumstances and emerging opportunities. But perhaps most importantly, Jewish financial thinking embraces what we might call values-based wealth creation. This is not just about making money. It's about making money in a way that aligns with your deepest values and highest aspirations. It's about creating wealth that enhances rather than diminishes your humanity. Behind every practical application of Jewish financial wisdom lies a profound spiritual foundation. This is not about religious observance or theological doctrine. It's about understanding the invisible forces that shape visible results. It's about recognizing that success is not just a matter of strategy and effort, but of alignment and intention. The Hebrew word kavanah captures this concept perfectly. It means intention, but not just any intention. It means sacred intention, purposeful intention, intention that aligns with something greater than oneself. When applied to business and finance, kavanah transforms every transaction from a mere exchange of goods or services into an opportunity for meaningful connection and mutual benefit. This spiritual dimension of the millionaire mindset is what separates sustainable success from temporary achievement. It's what creates businesses that last for generations rather than quarters. It's what builds wealth that serves life rather than consuming it. It's what transforms money from a master to be served into a tool to be used. Consider the difference between operating from scarcity and operating from abundance. Scarcity thinking sees every opportunity as limited, every success as competitive, every gain as requiring someone else's loss. Abundance thinking sees opportunities as unlimited, success as collaborative, and gain as something that can be shared and multiplied. These are not just different philosophies, they're different ways of being in the world. They create different relationships, different opportunities, and different results. The millionaire mindset is fundamentally an abundance mindset, and this abundance flows from a deep spiritual understanding of our place in the universe. Jewish wisdom teaches that we are partners with the divine in the work of creation. This means that our work is not just about personal survival or accumulation. It's about participating in the ongoing creation of value, beauty, and meaning in the world. This perspective transforms every business venture from a selfish pursuit into a sacred calling. This spiritual foundation creates what we might call faithful business practices, ways of operating that are grounded in trust, integrity, and long-term thinking. When you understand that your business is part of a larger purpose, you naturally make decisions that serve that purpose. When you understand that your success is connected to the success of others, you naturally create value for all stakeholders. The concept of faith in business is often misunderstood. It's not about being passive or naive. It's about being willing to plant seeds without knowing exactly when or how they will grow. It's about being willing to invest in relationships, systems, and opportunities that may not pay off immediately, but that align with your values and vision. This kind of faith creates what we might call patient capital, the ability to invest in long-term value creation rather than short-term profit maximization. It's the difference between building a business and building a legacy. It's the difference between creating wealth and creating worth. The millionaire mindset understands that true wealth is not just financial. It's spiritual, emotional, relational, and purposeful. It's not just about having more money. It's about having more meaning. It's not just about what you can buy. It's about what you can build. It's not just about what you can get. It's about what you can give. This holistic approach to wealth creates what we might call integrated success. Success that encompasses all dimensions of life, rather than just the financial dimension. It's success that enhances relationships rather than straining them. It's success that creates energy rather than depleting it. It's success that serves life rather than consuming it. The spiritual side of the millionaire mindset also includes what we might call divine timing. The understanding that there are seasons and rhythms to success that cannot be forced or manipulated. Just as a farmer plants in spring and harvests in fall, the millionaire mindset understands that there are times for sowing and times for reaping, times for building and times for enjoying, times for learning and times for applying. This understanding of timing creates patience, persistence, and peace. It prevents the anxiety and desperation that often accompany the pursuit of wealth. It allows for steady, consistent progress rather than frantic, inconsistent effort. It creates the kind of grounded confidence that attracts opportunities and partnerships. In 1937, a man named Napoleon Hill published a book that would change the world. Think and Grow Rich became one of the best-selling books of all time, and its principles have influenced millions of people in their pursuit of success. But what many people don't realize is that Hill's modern success philosophy bears a striking resemblance to ancient Jewish wisdom, particularly the principles embodied in the life and teachings of King Solomon. Hill's first and most fundamental principle is the power of definite purpose. He argued that all successful people have one thing in common. They know exactly what they want and why they want it. This is not just goal setting, it's purpose setting. It's not just about having a target, it's about having a mission. It's not just about what you want to achieve, it's about why you want to achieve it. This principle connects directly to Solomon's approach to leadership and wealth creation. Solomon didn't just want to be rich. He wanted to be wise so that he could serve his people well. He didn't just want to accumulate wealth, he wanted to create prosperity for his kingdom. His purpose was bigger than his personal gain, and this larger purpose enabled him to achieve results that mere self-interest could never have produced. Hill's second principle is faith. Not religious faith, but practical faith in your ability to achieve your goals. He understood that doubt is the enemy of achievement, and that unwavering belief in your vision is essential to its realization. This faith creates what Hill called persistence, the ability to keep going when circumstances are difficult and results are delayed. Solomon's faith was not just in his own abilities, but in the principles that govern success. He understood that wisdom, integrity, and hard work inevitably produce results, even when those results are not immediately visible. This faith enabled him to make long-term investments and strategic decisions that others might have considered foolish or impractical. Hill's third principle is autosuggestion, the practice of programming your subconscious mind for success through repeated affirmations and visualizations. He understood that our outer world is a reflection of our inner world, and that changing our thoughts is the first step toward changing our circumstances. Jewish wisdom has always understood the power of words and thoughts. The Hebrew concept of dibur teaches that words have creative power, that what we say consistently becomes what we experience eventually. The practice of daily prayer and study is not just about religious observance. It's about programming the mind for success, wisdom, and purposeful living. Hill's fourth principle is imagination, the ability to see possibilities that don't yet exist and to create mental blueprints for their realization. He understood that all achievement begins in the mind, and that the ability to envision success is a prerequisite for achieving it. Solomon's imagination was legendary. He could envision trade routes that didn't exist, architectural projects that had never been attempted, and solutions to problems that had never been solved. His imagination enabled him to see opportunities where others saw obstacles, and to create value where others saw only resources. Hill's fifth principle is specialized knowledge, the understanding that general knowledge is of little use in the accumulation of wealth, but that specific focused knowledge can be incredibly valuable. He argued that successful people become experts in their chosen fields and constantly expand their knowledge in areas that serve their purposes. This principle is deeply embedded in Jewish culture through the emphasis on education and lifelong learning. But it's not just about acquiring knowledge, it's about acquiring the right knowledge and applying it effectively. It's about becoming so skilled in your area of expertise that others naturally seek your advice and services. The connection between Hill's principles and Solomon's wisdom is not coincidental. Both men understood that success is not a matter of luck or privilege, but of understanding and applying specific principles. Both understood that wealth is not just about money, but about creating value. Both understood that sustainable success requires character, wisdom, and purpose. Hill's research into successful people revealed patterns that had been operating for thousands of years. He discovered that the same principles that made Solomon successful were still making people successful in the 20th century. The names and faces had changed, but the underlying principles remained constant. This convergence of ancient wisdom and modern research reveals something profound. There are universal principles that govern success, and these principles are available to anyone willing to learn and apply them. The millionaire mindset is not a secret, it's a system. It's not a mystery, it's a methodology. It's not a privilege, it's a practice. The beauty of combining Solomon's wisdom with Hill's principles is that it creates a complete framework for success, one that addresses not just the practical aspects of wealth creation, but the spiritual and emotional dimensions as well. It's a framework that creates not just financial success, but life success. It's a framework that serves not just the individual, but the community. Now comes the moment of transformation, the point where ancient wisdom and modern insights become practical actions you can take starting today. These are not just principles to admire, but practices to implement. They are not just ideas to consider, but investments to make in your own future. The first lesson is perhaps the most revolutionary: build legacy, not just income. This means shifting your focus from how much you can make to how much you can create. It means thinking beyond your own lifespan to the impact you can have on future generations. It means asking not just, what can I get, but what can I give that will keep giving long after I'm gone? In practical terms, this means creating businesses, investments, and relationships that grow stronger over time. It means building systems rather than just working jobs. It means developing assets that produce income rather than just earning income through effort. It means creating value that multiplies rather than just capturing value that exists. The second lesson is the power of intentional living. Every action you take is either building toward your goals or detracting from them. Every dollar you spend is either an investment in your future or a consumption of your present. Every relationship you build is either adding to your network of support or draining your energy and resources. Intentional living means making conscious choices about how you spend your time, energy, and money. It means aligning your daily actions with your long-term vision. It means saying no to opportunities that don't serve your purpose, even when they might provide short-term benefits. It means treating your life as a work of art to be crafted, not a series of accidents to be endured. The third lesson is the multiplication power of generosity. This is not about giving away money you can't afford to lose. It's about understanding that strategic generosity creates relationships, opportunities, and goodwill that often return value many times over. It's about seeing giving not as a cost, but as an investment. Start where you are with what you have. If you can't give money, give time. If you can't give time, give knowledge. If you can't give knowledge, give encouragement. The principle is not about the amount, it's about the attitude. It's about operating from abundance rather than scarcity, from contribution rather than consumption. The fourth lesson is the necessity of seeking wise counsel. Success is rarely a solo journey. The most successful people in history have surrounded themselves with advisors, mentors, and counselors who could provide perspective, wisdom, and accountability. This means actively seeking out people who know more than you do and learning from their experience. But seeking counsel is not just about finding mentors. It's about being teachable. It's about approaching every conversation as an opportunity to learn something new. It's about asking better questions and listening more carefully to the answers. It's about understanding that the cost of good advice is almost always less than the cost of poor decisions. The fifth lesson is the importance of divine timing. There are seasons and rhythms to success that cannot be forced or manipulated. Just as a farmer plants in spring and harvests in fall, there are times for sowing and times for reaping, times for building and times for enjoying, times for learning and times for applying. This understanding creates patience, persistence, and peace. It prevents the anxiety and desperation that often accompany the pursuit of wealth. It allows for steady, consistent progress rather than frantic, inconsistent effort. It creates the kind of grounded confidence that attracts opportunities and partnerships. The sixth lesson is the power of your word. In a world of contracts and legal documents, the millionaire mindset understands that reputation is the ultimate currency. Your word is your bond, and your integrity is your greatest asset. This means doing what you say you'll do when you say you'll do it, regardless of whether anyone is watching or enforcing. This principle creates what we might call relationship capital, the trust and goodwill that makes all other forms of capital possible. It's the foundation upon which all sustainable success is built. It's the difference between being successful and being significant. The seventh lesson is the importance of continuous learning. The world is changing rapidly, and the knowledge and skills that made you successful yesterday may not be sufficient for tomorrow. The millionaire mindset embraces learning as a lifestyle, not just a stage of life. This means reading voraciously, seeking out new experiences, and constantly expanding your understanding of the world around you. It means being willing to admit when you don't know something and taking steps to learn it. It means treating every setback as a learning opportunity and every success as a platform for greater service. The eighth lesson is the value of systems thinking. Successful people don't just work hard, they work smart. They create systems that leverage their time, energy, and resources. They build processes that can be repeated and scaled. They think in terms of multiplication rather than addition. This means automating routine tasks, delegating responsibilities, and creating passive income streams. It means building businesses that can operate without your constant supervision. It means creating value that compounds over time rather than just trading time for money. The ninth lesson is the power of purpose-driven action. Everything you do should serve a larger purpose beyond your own immediate needs. This purpose gives meaning to your work, energy to your efforts, and direction to your decisions. It's what separates mere success from true significance. Your purpose doesn't have to be grandiose or world-changing. It just has to be genuine and meaningful to you. It could be providing for your family, serving your community, or creating something beautiful. The key is that it's bigger than your own immediate gratification and connects your daily actions to something transcendent. The 10th and final lesson is the importance of faith-based action. This doesn't necessarily mean religious faith, but it does mean the willingness to act on your convictions even when the outcome is uncertain. It means being willing to plant seeds without knowing exactly when or how they will grow. This kind of faith creates what we might call patient capital, the ability to invest in long-term value creation rather than short-term profit maximization. It's the difference between building a business and building a legacy. It's the difference between creating wealth and creating worth. These 10 lessons form a complete framework for applying the millionaire mindset in your own life. They are not just theories to consider, but practices to implement. They are not just ideas to admire, but actions to take. They are your roadmap to joining the ranks of those who have discovered that true wealth is not just about money, but about meaning, purpose, and the ability to create value for others. Let me share with you the story of Rachel, a second-generation immigrant whose grandmother arrived in America with nothing but a fierce determination to build a better life for her family. Rachel's grandmother didn't speak English, had no formal education, and worked in a factory for 12 hours a day. But she had something more valuable than money. She had the mindset we've been exploring tonight. Every Friday evening, no matter how tired she was, Rachel's grandmother would light candles and gather her family around the dinner table. She would share stories of the old country, but more importantly, she would share dreams of the new country. She would talk about the businesses her children would build, the education they would receive, and the contributions they would make to their new homeland. Rachel's grandmother saved every penny she could, but she didn't just save, she invested. She invested in her children's education, in English lessons for herself, and in a small piece of property that everyone told her was worthless. She understood that poverty was not a permanent condition, but a temporary circumstance that could be changed through wisdom, work, and faith. When Rachel's father came of age, he followed his mother's example, but expanded her vision. He took the values she had instilled in him and applied them to the opportunities of his generation. He started a small business, reinvested his profits, and always operated with the long-term perspective his mother had taught him. By the time Rachel inherited the family business, it had grown from a single storefront to a small empire. But more importantly, she had inherited something far more valuable than money. She had inherited a mindset. She understood that wealth was not just about what you accumulate, but about what you create. She understood that success was not just about personal achievement, but about family legacy and community contribution. Rachel took the business to new heights, but she never forgot the principles that made it possible. She continued the Friday evening tradition her grandmother had started, sharing not just meals, but wisdom with her own children. She continued the practice of strategic generosity, always giving back to the community that had given her family so much opportunity. Today, Rachel's children are building their own businesses, pursuing their own dreams, and creating their own legacies. But they are doing so with the same mindset that brought their great-grandmother to America, with nothing but hope and determination. They understand that true wealth is not inherited through genetics, but cultivated through mindset. Consider the story of David, a young man who grew up in a family where money was always scarce but wisdom was abundant. His father worked multiple jobs to make ends meet, but he never complained. Instead, he used every challenge as a teaching opportunity, every setback as a chance to demonstrate resilience, and every small victory as a reminder that persistence pays off. David's father couldn't afford to send him to the best schools, but he could afford to teach him the most important lessons. He taught him that your current circumstances don't determine your future possibilities. He taught him that what you don't have in resources, you can make up for in resourcefulness. He taught him that success is not about where you start, but about where you decide to go. When David started his first business, he had no capital, no connections, and no guarantees. But he had something more valuable. He had a mindset that saw opportunities where others saw obstacles, solutions where others saw problems, and possibilities where others saw limitations. David's business grew slowly but steadily, built on the foundation of the principles his father had taught him. He reinvested his profits, treated his employees well, and always operated with integrity. He understood that sustainable success requires more than just good products or services. It requires good relationships, good systems, and good character. 20 years later, David's company is a leader in its industry, providing jobs for hundreds of people and creating value for thousands of customers. But David's greatest achievement is not his financial success. It's the mindset he's passing on to his own children and employees. He's creating a legacy that will outlast his own lifetime. The story of Sarah is perhaps the most inspiring of all. Sarah lost everything in a divorce that left her with 3 young children, no career, and mounting debts. At age 45, she found herself starting over with nothing but the clothes on her back and a fierce determination to provide for her family. Sarah's journey began in the most unlikely place, a community college computer lab where she spent her evenings learning basic programming while her children did their homework beside her. She had no background in technology, but she had something more powerful, an unshakable belief that she could create a better future for her family. The first year was brutal. Sarah worked part-time jobs during the day and studied at night, surviving on 3 hours of sleep and an endless supply of determination. She faced rejection after rejection from potential employers who questioned her lack of experience and the gap in her resume. But each no only strengthened her resolve. Her breakthrough came when she volunteered to redesign the website for her children's school. The project caught the attention of a local business owner who needed help with his company's digital presence. One small project led to another, and slowly, Sarah began building a reputation for delivering quality work with unwavering reliability. 5 years later, Sarah's web development agency employs 12 people and serves clients across 3 states. But her success isn't measured only in revenue. It's in the scholarship fund she established for single mothers pursuing technical education, the mentorship program she runs for women re-entering the workforce, and the confidence she's instilled in her children that obstacles are just opportunities in disguise. Sarah's story proves that it's never too late to start again, that age is just a number when paired with determination, and that the most powerful transformations often begin at what seems like the end of everything else. Her legacy isn't just a successful business, it's the proof that resilience, when combined with action, can reshape any destiny. What connects David and Sarah's stories isn't their different starting points or their unique challenges. It's their shared understanding that success isn't about where you begin, but about how you choose to respond to what life throws at you. Both understood that mindset is everything, that learning never stops, and that true success is measured not just by what you achieve, but by the lives you touch along the way. Their stories remind us that within each of us lies the power to rewrite our story, to transform our circumstances, and to create a legacy that extends far beyond our own lives. The question isn't whether you have what it takes. The question is whether you're willing to discover what you're truly capable of, ready to transform your own story. If these stories of resilience and transformation inspired you, you're exactly where you need to be. This channel is dedicated to sharing the mindset shifts, practical strategies, and real-world wisdom that can help you overcome any obstacle and build the life you truly want. Don't miss our next inspiring story. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss the content that could change your perspective and ultimately your life. Remember, your breakthrough story is waiting to be written. Let's write it together. What's your biggest takeaway from David and Sarah's stories? Share it in the comments below. Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today.